But as tough as it is and as much spiritual work as we have to do to deal with the people who are already inside our circle, and that's a lot of work, I think it's okay for us to acknowledge that I think we may have drawn our circle too small in 2016. Not out of malice, but we've been so enthusiastic, and thank God, to include everybody who has been traditionally marginalized. And it's so new to us to even try to do this that sometimes I think we may have left out some people who may feel newly marginalized. Straight, white males who live in red states who also may be hurting too. I spent a lot of time in the red parts of this country. And I want to tell you that I've met straight, white, cisgendered, heterosexual Trump voters who are some of the best people in this country. I've done that. I've seen it. And I can't unsee that. I can't unknow that to then participate in all of this bashing and all of this trashing that has become so popular and has become so easy. I met a lot of guys in my book. I write about, I kind of make a composite of guys that I met. But you can imagine. Now listen, a lot of people who voted for Trump, there is zero excuse for them to do it because they're wealthy, they're fine, or whatever. But the reason that we lost the election was because about 70,000 voters spread out over 3 states in the Rust Belt jumped the fence. They had voted for Obama twice, and then they voted for Trump. They voted for Obama twice, and then voted for Trump. That's 70,000 out of 120 million votes swung the entire election. So I want to talk to those folks. And what I saw with those guys, you can imagine, 55-year-old white guy, worked hard his whole life, but the plant that he worked in has closed, and it was tough, but it's been 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and 8 months, because he's still counting, since he was able to be the breadwinner. He's now ashamed to go to the VFW. He doesn't want to talk to his friends who don't have jobs, and he definitely doesn't want to talk to his friends who do have jobs. So he doesn't talk to anybody. He's ashamed to go to church because he's tired of people looking at him with pity and trying to give him encouragement. So he doesn't go to church. He doesn't go to the VFW. He just stays at home. He's got 2 kids. His son is addicted to painkillers, opioids. And what most of us don't understand, though some of us here do, you have more people dying in this country right now of opioid painkiller overdoses than were dying of HIV/AIDS at the height of the crisis in the 80s. Remember the 80s? People were dropping like flies? That's what's happening every day in red state America. Every Friday, the coroners now in a bunch of these towns order freezer trucks because they know that by Sunday, the morgue's going to be full of bodies, and they're going to have to put some in the freezer truck over the weekend. And every time the phone rings, this man thinks it might be the morgue calling about his son. He's got a daughter, the baby, and she's gone off to college. She made it, and he's so proud of her. I matter. I'm not a total F up, because look at my baby girl. She's doing great. She's in college. I didn't go. She's there. And when he goes to get the groceries for her to come home and have a meal with the family, he has to drive past. They don't want the factories back. The factory's been gone. They don't have stores in these towns. The strip malls are empty. They have Blockbuster videos that have been sitting there empty for 7 years, 8 years. The chains have rusted to the gate. There's grass growing up through the asphalt in the parking lots. And he says, I remember when this was a good town. And I had a place and I had a role and it was good. What happened? Then he gets home and they make the casserole and they're waiting for her to come home. They're waiting. Here she comes through the door. The baby girl's home from college. And within 10 minutes, Daddy, you're a bigot. Daddy, you're a racist. Daddy, you need to own your heterosexual privilege. I'm trying. Sorry. What? Does anybody care about me? Do I get a break? Does anybody respect me? Am I just nothing now? So he goes in the basement, slams the door, cuts on the TV. And there's a man there on the screen that says, you know what? I understand. I get you. And I'm going to make America great again. When those factories closed, I didn't go. I figured somebody's going to help the white boys. I had my own problems to deal with in the hood. The NAACP didn't go. National Organization of Women didn't go. The big environmental groups didn't go. Trump went. And if you're going to denounce him for going with a bad message, then we better go with a good one. And we better be able to open our hearts up and accept that change is hard for people. Change is hard for people. I'm a progressive. I'm shoving as much change down folks' throat as I can. I am. I don't plan to stop. But sometimes folks gag. And sometimes folks can't handle it. And then we call them names. But if we're going to be honest, the cord of empathy being cut is 2 edges to that scissor. And we got an edge too, sometimes. And we act like we can't understand why people might drift in some negative direction and be preyed upon by bigots and racists and anti-Jewish folk and anti-black folk. But let's just be a little bit more real. I spent my 20s after I got out of law school in Oakland, California. And when I was there in my 20s, man, there was a lot of black folks and working class folks, and it was, funky, and, they had the Black Panther murals up, and, I felt like, yeah, I'm in Oakland. Well, what, and all that, and, swagger on. Now I go back to Oakland. It's 30 minutes from Silicon Valley, and they've got kale and yoga everywhere. What the hell is this? I like Oakland the way it was. They coming here and just changing everything. If I could build a wall and make Silicon Valley pay for it, I might build